What is up, guys? Welcome into yet another edition of Instant Reaction, an instant reaction to a game, a trade, breaking news, anywhere in football or basketball. I am reacting to it, and today we are reacting to Thursday Night Football last night between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. What does it mean? Where are both teams going forward? Do I believe in either team? Let's start right here. You know, for a second there, I thought the San Francisco 49ers were going to lose this game. They had some trouble keeping leads. Kyle Shanahan sometimes gets a little cute with the play calling, gets a little cute with his game planning. That's what it felt like last week. It felt like Kyle Shanahan took that game to get players right against the Arizona Cardinals. Because if we're just being honest, the Cardinals don't have as many good players as the 49ers. They just don't. And I'm a Cardinals guy. The Niners are loaded everywhere. Everyone outside of Christian McCaffrey was healthy. All the big name players were there. And the Niners blew that game. I thought we were going to see a replay of Sunday's game versus the Cardinals, but that didn't happen. So that saved some 49ers some real shredding. And I'll save some of my big takes that I saw on social media for later in the year. But there is something out there for the San Francisco 49ers regarding Kyle Shanahan. And I will defend Kyle probably a different time. Because the outrage for him potentially getting fired over all the things he's done for the Niners, I think is craziness. But they won last night. That rant was saved. So let's switch it over to the Seattle Seahawks. This game showed me clearly what Geno Smith is. He's not a great quarterback. I'm not so sure he's even a good quarterback. I think he's productively average and is a bridge quarterback in the NFL. There was a spell there for Geno Smith where we all kind of thought, man, could Geno Smith actually work in the NFL? Like, maybe he is a comeback story. There's a reason why comeback stories in the NFL are so few and far in between. Geno Smith surprised everyone after a couple of years of riding the bench, perfecting his craft, making himself more accurate, a little bit more mobile than maybe we at first remembered, and he was able to come out and help the Seattle Seahawks. Made it to the playoffs one year. But since that playoff run 2 years ago, Geno Smith hasn't been amazing. You could blame the offensive line. You could blame the offensive coordinator. You could blame the defense. You could blame injuries. I'm not really into that. What I'm into is assessing how to make things better. And Geno Smith last night proved to everyone he is just not a capable franchise starting quarterback. He could be a mentor. He can be a leader. He could be a heck of a guy in your locker room. But he's just not talented or gifted enough to help your franchise succeed at the next level. Potentially with a really good roster around him, with a really good culture, and a pretty good defense, he could take you to the playoffs. But it's very similar to the Justin Fields, the Ryan Fitzpatricks, the borderline starter bridge quarterback that can take you to the playoffs, but will never win you a game in the playoffs, will never win multiple games in the playoffs. They have the ability to not lose you the game, but they don't have the ability to win the game. And that's what separates franchise quarterbacks from non-franchise quarterbacks. Even the good franchise quarterbacks can still be the reason you win a game week in and week out, but maybe not so much on a consistent basis. Matt Ryan is that guy. Kirk Cousins is that guy. We've seen that over the years. Geno Smith isn't even that. He's not in the Kirk Cousins tier. He's not in the Dak Prescott tier. He's not in the B tier of quarterbacks. He's a C bridge quarterback. And it's why if you're the Seattle Seahawks, what were you doing? Not doing everything you can to go get a quarterback this year. You have the defensive-minded head coach who clearly knows how to coach defense. You clearly have the weapons. Did you really need to add another defensive piece when you had Geno Smith here? Imagine if this team got Michael Penix, a mature, big-arm quarterback out of Washington. You bring his OC from Washington with him. cohesion, chemistry, and you allow him to be mentored for a year or even just the Drake May route. 5 or 6 games under Geno Smith. And this Seahawks team could have been phenomenal. But the problem with defensive-minded head coaches, the problem when you hire and sustain that culture of defense with a guy like Mike Macdonald, who I think is very smart, they tend to believe defense still wins championships. And it just doesn't. And defensive head coaches see a defensive player in the draft and they say, man, if I just had that guy, this could be the next 85 Bears. It's not how it works. It is no longer a defense wins championships league. So Geno Smith, although has been very serviceable and a very good quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks and what they asked him to be, they missed a prime opportunity in what was an amazing quarterback draft to move on from Geno Smith. And instead this year, they're going to be a 500 team because they're very capable and competent with the head coaching, with the defense, and with the weapons on offense, that they won't be in striking distance for a quarterback. And could be running it back with Geno Smith next year. Or potentially get the third, fourth best quarterback in the draft. That's not the way you want to build. The Seahawks missed an opportunity. And now they're going to have to try to figure out how to replace Geno Smith with less draft capital. They are simply not going to be woefully awful enough to draft a quarterback. So that's where I'm at on the Seattle Seahawks. Good team, competent team, but just don't have the quarterback to continue to take the next step forward. Because Geno Smith, he's just not that guy. And then quickly on the San Francisco 49ers. There are San Francisco 49ers fans beating their chest, getting hype, excited for what they saw last night for the San Francisco 49ers. Last night still told me a lot about the Niners. They still have trouble on this team, a lot of issues. Defense isn't great. Injuries are still ravaging them with guys like Travarius Ward, Javon Hargrave, Christian McCaffrey. Not big names guys, but still a decent amount of players that are missing from this team. And then you look at their schedule and you say, well, they're 3-3. How bad could they be? And then you really take a deep dive on what the San Francisco 49ers have done this year. I'm not impressed. I'm still not impressed with the 49ers. I still think they're going to be worse off than they were last year. I still don't think they're a Super Bowl contender. Sure, it was a nice win last night on the road against the Seahawks, but still, you look at this team. They've beaten Aaron Rodgers, who appears to be washed and not very good this year and hasn't been good over the past 3 seasons. The Vikings, they lose to Sam Darnold, surprise, surprise, who's been awesome this year. They lose to Matt Stafford, another capable quarterback. They lose to Kyler Murray, a capable quarterback. The only games the San Francisco 49ers have won are against washed Aaron Rodgers, Jacoby Brissett, and Geno Smith, who I just got talking about is not a franchise quarterback. This Niners team still has real issues, and there's that feud between fans and Kyle Shanahan. I'm just not bought all the way back into the 49ers. I still have them being a playoff team because the NFC is so bad. But this team, with the defensive woes, with the injuries, with the friction in the locker rooms, with the distractions of contracts, this team is not working well. And for all those reasons, I'm still not feeling good about the Niners, even though many Niners fans still feel good about them. We need to see more before we can continue to make grand declarations on this team. And when you add the injury of Jordan Mason, now you're on your 3rd string running back. Do you really feel good about that, Niners fans? It's issues over in Niners land, that's for sure.